We are lucky to live in a time where advancements in tools and technology have reached a point where anyone can access the Big Mountain Arena. In response to this, it's our time to acknowledge the ethics and protocols of exploring this amazing terrain. It's been almost 20 years since Alaska ignited the big mountain skiing movement, with the early heli-skiing pioneers finding the most incredible ski terrain on the planet. Humbled by the mountains they had found, they were forced to create an evolution in tools and techniques just to be able to explore new regions. Fast forward 20 years and we're still charging as hard as ever. Resorts have opened up amazing terrain, and the backcountry is more accessible than ever. In response to this, it's our time to acknowledge the ethics and protocols of exploring this amazing terrain that derive from one of skiing's most influential and incredible endeavors. In 1990, Alaska locals that were skiing in Thompson Pass, just outside of Valdez, came up with a brilliant idea to host the world's top skiers at the World Extreme Skiing Competition.
Locals in Valdez knew they had something that was world class, so their idea was to invite all the best skiers in the world and to host a World Extreme Skiing Championship. The first week in Alaska, I climbed quite a few peaks. But this one peak I climbed was 27-mile peak. It was the first one I'd got on top of. I hitched a ride up to Thompson Pass. I picked a route that looked like about 2 hours. And 4 hours later, I was on top of this peak. Here I was on top of this Alaska monster, reflecting, all these places I had been, my career and done, and all the people that I loved. And I looked across this range, and it was so obvious that this was a place I wanted to be the rest of my life. This is the land, this is the religion to me. It was so unreal that you can't even explain it to somebody. Being in the Chugach range, really being in the last frontier, the scale of things, I'd never had my senses so enlightened. I never had felt that feeling for such a long period of time where my senses were just on fire. It just was an amazing feeling.
On competition day, the athletes gazed up Odyssey Mountain, looking at lines you'd only dreamed of.
It was such an incredible experience to be involved with this event. All the best skiers from all over the world. The judges were Scott Schmidt, Glenn Plake, Mike Hattrip, all these guys you'd seen in stunt films that you respected so much. You looked at this massive mountain, and there's 300 or 400 different lines you can ski on this thing. And if you picked a line that was hard enough, no one else would ski it. You could pick your own line, ski it for yourself, and win this event. It's just so cool not to be competing against other people. You're just competing against you in the mountain. It was all new to all of us. We'd all competed all over the world. We're all from different facets of skiing. Yet here we are, just up in Alaska, competing down this monster mountain. It was really neat, the camaraderie between us, the friendships that were created. You know, it really was a start of something new. It was the real deal. I mean, people died in this event. People really did have life-sustaining injuries that ruined their careers. You know, you were humbled at the top. You knew that you were on top of something that was very serious. It was a real extreme event. No question. Doug got first place. I got second place. Here we are on the stage with I had a 5-foot trophy. Doug had a 6-foot trophy. It's like, yeah, everything in Alaska is big, huh, Doug? And we're just laughing about it. But here we are on top of something, the next big thing that's going to change the industry forever. It was just such an amazing feeling to know that you were part of something that was going to be so big and that you were right on the forefront of it.
News traveled fast of the 5,000-foot vertical runs in bottomless powder found in Alaska. West was a success and put Valdez on the map.
Over the first 4 years of this competition, it was so neat to see what was happening in the industry. You couldn't turn 5 pages in a magazine without seeing a photo from Alaska or an article. You know, there wasn't a film out there that didn't have a segment on Alaska. This was a whole new arena. All of a sudden there was these new heroes. There was guys like me and Shane and Seth, and skiers could relate to these people better. They were powder skiers. They're weekend warriors. They're people that ski the trees or steep shoot today bases. Skiing wasn't as romantic as it used to be. But now you had these heroes, now you had these advancements in technology, and yeah, skiing started coming alive and the industry jumped on it wholeheartedly. And you know, it turned all of us into big heroes from our feats in Alaska, and it really was needed. It really changed the industry for the better. So the majority of the skiing was taking place on Thompson Pass, and then we're being invited to go film and explore and open up new regions. From this experience and this research and development that we gathered from these filming endeavors and going out with the pilots to check out new regions, people started turning to us to guide them. So many times you get in the helicopter, you'd be like, oh, I want to land on that peak right there, and you fly up there and the pilot's like, I can't land you there, I'm gonna have to put you over here on this peak. And you'd get to the top of this peak you knew nothing about, you never scouted the route or anything, and you'd spend the whole day just trying to get back to the road alive. And that's why people started turning to us. You know, we had those experiences ourselves, and we survived them luckily, and people wanted to go check out these new areas, and so they started asking us to guide them, or at least pay for our seat or have them join their group. And that's really where it started. That started, you know, us guiding people and starting to develop protocols. And, you know, it was wild. It was the Wild West.
In the years that followed, Dean and a few others remained in Alaska to research and explore the vast territory. People came from all over the world to experience the best skiing and riding on the planet.
You know, we were the guys that had the mountain experience. We were the guys that were opening up these new regions. And if we didn't develop some protocols and become more conscious about our safety, who knows what would have happened.
It was obvious that the terrain in Alaska demanded respect, and over the years, big mountain heli-ski protocols have been refined to minimize the risk, discovered the hard way in the early years.
That's where this whole, guiding from the top down and big mountain protocol started. It was us just trying to make sure that we weren't going to get ourselves killed and that we weren't going to get somebody else killed. These were protocols that weren't being done in Europe or Canada. It was more backcountry protocol with a mechanized component. And, skiing one at a time, watching one another, building that group team emphasis. Not just guiding people, but giving them, technique advice on how to ski steeper terrain or how to manage their slough. It was a whole new arena, a whole new world, and we had to develop new techniques and protocols for it. And that's where it all started. It was just us trying to keep ourselves alive and trying to open up this new region that was so big and vast and just bigger than you can imagine, even to this day. You need to just be really careful. You need to really develop these protocols as the topography and as the industry's changing and then the equipment's changing every year. It's just evolving on a daily basis almost. Annually, you're coming up with new techniques and new protocols to develop a better way of guiding these mountains or descending from the top down.
The process of making good decisions in avalanche terrain starts early in the morning, analyzing weather and making predictions on the snowpack. Guides in Alaska watch precipitation, winds, and temperatures all season long. Even before groups are in the air, they are already deciding on what terrain to avoid.
Guiding in Alaska or in the big mountain arena anymore has got so many different variables. It's about your health, your conditioning, the equipment you carry, your pack, taking advantage of the technology, but also being very practical. The idea is that you go out there with a 3-strike rule when it comes to the weather, snowpack, and it's, strike 1, it snowed a bunch. You fly out, you see 3 avalanches. Strike 2, you get out and you see something in your snow pit or something on the slope that you don't like. That can be a strike 3 and you go home. So that's kind of the way you do it. You can only do what the mountains allow you to do.
Heading out into the mountains, heli ski guides have a unique advantage of getting a bird's eye view when scouting runs for hazards. They're looking for good slope structure and minimal exposure above and below the group as they descend.
Guiding from the top down is all about visual and verbal and picking routes and lines that provide you the ability to guide, being visual and or verbal. If you have both, that's the best. If you have one or the other, you're still in there and you're still using good backcountry protocol. If you lose those two things, then you've lost your ability to have good all-mountain backcountry protocol. The other thing is terrain management, using high points, ridges, hips, to be able to scope out concerns, be able to work from the apex into the convex, assessing snow. And then the next, of course, is just on-the-go snow assessment. It's not necessarily about just digging a snow pit in the starting zone. It's about that and all your hasty pits, all your snow tests, all your test slopes that you can identify, and and working in the mountains with enough experience that you actually can identify just by the feel of the snow, by the sound of the snow, and by the texture of the snow, this inner sense on reading concerns or red flags that may jump out at you. You really are following the cycles and listening to what the mountains are going to let you do or not do. The way this relates to skiing in the United States anymore is that the resorts have opened up really wild terrain, really technical terrain, which is great. Finally, we have that. But people are not differentiating between, say, all mountain skiing, which is off-piste in Europe, and or piste, which is groomed runs, totally controlled places. You know, let's say you get to Alta or Snowbird, you're literally skiing off-piste terrain when you take those traverses out off Baldy. So using Alaska protocols, guiding and assessing from the top down is what it's all about. So you realize, okay, we're going on Mount Baldy, you've got a pack, a probe, a shovel, you triple check it, you have a plan based on the forecast, you go into the mountains with a pretty good handle on things, pretty much understanding what you should do and what you shouldn't do.
What a great time it is to be a skier or rider in North America. Resorts are opening up amazing terrain, comparing to lines once hidden in deep backcountry stashes or accessed by helicopter.
The terrain's been opened up. Now we just need to increase our knowledge, our depth in all mountain protocol, terrain management, and on-the-go snow assessment. And once you start getting those pieces put together, your skiing just goes to a whole new level.
By the request of clients coming to Alaska, a program was put together to teach big mountain skiing and riding protocols in the lower 48. The mission is to teach what was learned from pioneering Alaska helicopter skiing and improve awareness of safely accessing big mountain terrain.
A lot of this terrain is just take some good protocol, take some knowledge and some respect. And the best way to do it is go with the 1, 2, 3 strike rule. So some new snow, it adds weight, so we've got to be a little more concerned about slides or sloughing. So we're going to watch out for terrain traps, unsupported slopes, slopes above exposure. More snow on top and more wind, we're going to be looking possibly getting into a strike 2, meaning we want to stay on our apex, work off the apex and work down the mountain, not getting so much into our toilet bowls, into our chutes. So Russell, there's 4 things: protocol, which is all mountain backcountry protocol, terrain management, on-the-go snow assessment, and then rescue techniques. But the most important, going back to protocol, is you've got to pick the right lines to have good protocol. So first you have a forecast. It tells you if you have a lot of new snow or wind-loaded snow or instabilities in the snowpack. But it goes right into a strike 1, 2, and 3 rating. Strike 1 meaning, wow, I better be cautious today. I have 1 red flag that I would watch out for exposure like this, where a slough could take me into the trees, or an unsupported slope like this cliff below here. I wouldn't want to get out there and trust that the snow wouldn't break off under me. You know, strike 1, you can play into the concave, but you want to play close to your apex. A strike 2, you want to play on your apex and try to pick lines that allow you to stay high and visible with your friends, staying visual and verbal. Strike 3, it's time to go to the club and have some nachos or go shopping.
For more than 20 years, Alaska has changed the way we look at skiing and riding big mountains all over the world. Every year, it defines the pinnacle of the sport. It shows us what's possible and drives the evolution of tools and technique. For those who experience it firsthand, it inspires in ways words cannot describe. We are lucky to live in a time where we can recreate at such a high level in the alpine environment, but the media still trends to desensitize the risks of exploring such big mountain terrain. We, the outdoor people, live life hunting for experiences, always looking to go bigger and better. It's our time to acknowledge the need to travel safer in this new terrain. We must tread lightly, touch it, feel it, and leave nothing but tracks.